everybody. I am Seiji Kihara. I actually supposed to speak the previous session, but I'm sorry to be late for a bit of and my airplane's delayed. Sorry for that. But thank you very much for your kind introduction. And first of all, it's really my great honor to speak before such a great audience in this prestigious Poland Shanghai Forum. On my plane, I really remember one of the famous philosopher, Confucius, whom I admire most, once said, choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. And I think I've chosen a job I love. Actually, I'm a politician, and yet here I am attending this conference actually during weekend, far from Tokyo, and not even on my official status as a, well, I'm actually working as a parliamentary vice minister for foreign affairs at the moment. So I must say there is a long way to go before I fully realize what Confucius told me about job and work. But in other words, this shows or demonstrates how attractive this forum and actually this very exciting city of Shanghai are to me. So today here, not as my official status, but as a member, only a private status, but I would like to share my personal view over the current Asia-Pacific situation and Japan's passport in relation to this region. Well, on my flight to Shanghai, I have given a look at the globe and found the great ocean. That's actually the Pacific Ocean, which covers 1/3 of the whole surface of this whole Earth. Located in the west are China, Korea, Australia, ASEAN, India, Russia, and also our small island, Japan. The eastern side, both the United States, Canada, and Mexico, Latin countries. So I'm sure that you have already discussed quite a lot about in the previous session, but it's really the big powers and emerging countries, and it's widely said our 21st century will be written by Asia that faces the Pacific. It is true by any standards, including various economic data. I'm not going to show any data, but anyway, if you add India, it would be more than half of the world populations. So what is more, intensity of intra-regional trade of APEC is higher than that of EU, accounting for 66% of the total trade volume. So some may argue that Pacific Ocean has now become a gigantic economic zone. So, and now, I think and I believe it is up to us whether such history will be written as prosperity or conflict. The path forward should be obviously the former, I mean prosperity, but there are at least, from my point of view, three basic conditions upon which such prosperity is achieved. First, we need peace, which is also the root of the word Pacific itself. Second, we need free flow of goods and people. And third, we need cooperation, cooperation based on the two premises I just mentioned. So to begin with, let me talk a little bit about peace, the first conditions. The security environment in Asia has become increasingly severe. By the standard of military spending, 5 out of 10 biggest armies are in Asia at the moment. Some are possessing nuclear weapons or continuing with nuclear development. A regional corporate framework, on the other hand, what is very concerning is a regional corporate framework on security has not been sufficiently materialized in this region. Countries in the region have contrasting different political, economic, and social system, and thus it is difficult to nurture common security views. Let me briefly touch upon the North Korea issue for point of Japanese point of view. North Korea's ongoing development of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles is a clear and present danger. Even this year, North Korea has repeatedly launched ballistic missiles towards the Sea of Japan, and released a statement indicating another nuclear test. The situation also involves the risk of proliferation of nuclear materials and related technologies to serve countries, posing a critical challenge for the international community. And in addition, North Korea's abduction is a grave issue affecting Japan's sovereignty as well as the lives and safety of Japanese nationals, and is a clear violation of fundamental human rights. So in the Asian Pacific, defense expenditures and arms imports have been increasing dramatically in recent years. The increasing military spending is raising tensions in the region. Why? Some argue the tension itself is the cause of increasing military expenditure. Others stress the increase in military spending naturally corresponds to a country's economic development. All of these may be true to some extent, I think, but certainly these trends are increasingly a concern for the international community. So in the East China Sea and South China Sea, we have seen persistent conflict of interest and various attempts to change the status quo by coercion. Under such circumstances, as a responsible major power in the region, Japan, my country Japan, continues to exercise restraint and address such situation in a level-headed manner. Also, Japan repeatedly called for an early launch of operation of a maritime and air communication mechanism in order to prevent a contingency. Besides the rising tension in the South China Sea are a matter of concern for the international community as a whole, including Japan, as they are interlinked with regional peace and stability. What is critically important here is to refrain from unilateral acts and to adhere to the rule of law. Japan is conveying such a message to the related countries. So history often tells us that what, where, and when new rising powers emerge, tensions arise inevitably. Some argue that from this emerging country standpoint, the current world order may have been well established before its rise, and thus it may want to adjust the order by reflecting its own views and interests. I, to some extent, agree with these views, but nevertheless, this cannot justify the change of status quo through coercion or undermine the stability of the region by any country. So, what is required for peace and prosperity in the Asia Pacific and the world in the coming decades? They are, I think, trust, not tension. They are dialogue and the rule of law, not use of force or coercion. So to that end, we must protect and utilize global common such as sea, air, outer space and cyberspace based upon international rules. Japan has the will and the capacity to lead such efforts in cooperation with other countries, squarely facing our past history. Over the almost 70 years since the end of World War II, Japan has followed the path of a peace-loving nation and consistently made efforts to realize the fundamental values of democracy, human rights, or freedom and rule of law. What is more, manifesting deep remorse on the war through our actions, Japan provided development assistance to other Asian countries and grew together economically. Japan our country Japan will continue to adhere steadfastly to the Constitution's pacifism as stated by our Prime Minister. At the same time, in the current world where transnational threats including weapons of mass destruction, ballistic missiles, international terrorism, and cyber attacks emerge, no nation can maintain its own peace and security alone. So therefore Japan, as a proactive contributor to peace, will contribute more actively to the peace and stability by coordinating with the international community. So going in tandem with Japan's, which I described a little bit, Japan's such belief and actions, the United States has been and will be playing an indispensable role for stability and prosperity in the Asia Pacific. The US not only maintains alliance with Asian countries but also has a closer link with Asian economies, with its exports outpacing Europe by more than 50%, plus US direct investment in Asia and Asia's direct investment in the United States has doubled in the past decades. Thus, the Obama administration's rebalancing toward Asia is quite natural and must be welcomed by the whole region, I think. Japan, so determined to shape the future of the Asia Pacific and beyond, together with the United States, will reinforce the alliance with other partners such as Australia, South Korea, Philippines, will also fortify defense cooperation with the United States. Yet, having said that, we must be very much clear that no countries, be it Japan, the United States, or other regional countries, intend to contain or weaken China through these efforts, but rather aim to deepen engagement and solidify constructive relationship with China, simply because I believe China is one of the most important leading country in the Asia-Pacific region. Needless to say, China is the largest trading partner for Japan, and its economic growth provides huge opportunity for Japan, my country itself. Our bilateral relationship is called, well, I'm not sure whether I can pronounce correctly, Yi Dai Shui. That means separated only by a narrow strip of water. So, and as such important neighbors, Japan will continue to encourage China to play a responsible and constructive role for the sake of regional peace and stability, as well as to improve openness and transparency in its advancing military capabilities. I personally believe China can play such a role through its own efforts. But perhaps our Chinese friends may say that it is Japan, not China, that needs to improve transparency in the sphere of security. And to some extent, I agree with this kind of opinions. So on our side, also, we will also make efforts. But such statement is a manifestation of why our leaders, the leaders of two countries, who both enjoy solid political basis, must talk to each other on a wide variety of imminent and long-term issues in a candid manner. And our Prime Minister Abe is always open to this summit meeting. I truly hope the two leaders of the bilateral talks during the APEC leaders meeting in Beijing this November. I have talked a little bit too much enough of the security issues, so let's briefly touch upon the economic issues. Historically, most countries in the Asia-Pacific have always depended on the seas for its safety and prosperity. Seas that are free and the sea will bring active flows of people and goods. Japan showed gaskets by achieving 25-fold growth in 20 years after joining GATT in 1955, and in 1968 became the second largest economic power in the world. So this is true for the other countries and the region as a whole. In the last 20 years, the GDP per capita of Mongolia and Vietnam grew 6 times from 1990 to 2010, the gross total of the APEC member economies, GDP, has more than tripled in normal times, thanks to their own efforts and cooperation toward liberalizing regional trade and investment. So this provides an important lesson that is creating a new and Asia-wide economic order that is free, open, transparent, and friendly to innovation, governed by safe seas and airspace, is critical for further prosperity and growth in Asia Pacific. Already countries such as the United States, Australia, Canada, and Japan, and some of the ASEAN countries are working very hard to create new rules in the Asia Pacific through negotiation on TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. These rules go well beyond not only market access, and include measures to prevent free ride on intellectual properties and imposition of grinding labor and reduce environmental burdens. It should serve as a basis for rulemaking beyond the TPP in regional comprehensive economic partnership (RCEP) and in the larger initiative of free trade area of the Asia Pacific (FTA). Now, this brings me to the my suggestion, third point, cooperation. That is cooperation in the Asia Pacific to shape the further future together. The region has, I believe, immense possibilities for cooperation in the sphere of, for instance, trade and investment, environment, energy, disaster risk prevention reduction, and human and cultural exchanges. On top of that, with our geographical proximity, Japan, China, South Korea, trilateral cooperation has huge potential, particularly in the field of environment. Actually, in April, this April, the environment ministers of the three countries met for the 16th time, discussed the whole spectrum of environmental issues, including PM 2.5, dust and sandstorm and climate change, and agreed to adopt a new joint action plan for the next 5 years. And another area, I believe, is the energy. Energy is a promising area for cooperation. Okay, I will finish in 2 minutes. There are considerable price difference in national gas among the US, EU, and Asia. EU pay 3 times as much as the US for the same amount of energy, while Japan pays as much as 5 times. This is due to the insufficient level of cooperation in Asia, and unlike the EU that has the facilitated gas pipeline networks. And the final area of cooperation is the people-to-people cooperation, especially for the youth exchange, I believe. So, I believe, as a conclusion, it is evidence, I really believe, by the case of cooperation. I have just mentioned energy, environment, and people-to-people cooperation. I hope that we could and will all develop our relationship on a future-oriented basis towards peace and prosperity in the Asia Pacific. Thank you so much for taking your time, and thank you very much for your kind audience. Thank you very much.